Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ask the Nanny. Today is August the 11th. I don't know why I almost said February. I'm going backwards. But today is August the 11th, 2019. And tonight we are going to be talking about emergency readiness. Hi, Chelsea. Chelsea, I'm sorry. But before we get started, while we're waiting on people to join, I just want to say tonight's t-shirt is from Aileen Matherin from My Nanny Circle Apparel. I love this t-shirt. I always get so many compliments on it. And they're like, what's Nanny Pride? And that gives me an opportunity to tell them about the nanny world. Okay, so we have another few more announcements. Labor of Love Fair is going to be in Denton, Texas on August the 25th at the Civic Center. I would like for all of my Dallas area nannies and NCSs and birth workers and doulas and whatever you do in the birth world, please come and come by and visit. Come to our table. Chevelle Frederick and I will have a table. We are there together as newborn care specialists. I will also have my brand new flavors of This Jam Good. I have 5 new flavors that I created last week. So I will have those and they would make their debut at the Labor of Love Fair. Please come by, see us. They're going to be free prizes, raffles and demonstrations by some of the vendors that are there. Some things you may need for your nanny family or for your NCS child, or there will be doulas and all families and doulas and birth workers, and everyone's going to be there. So just be there. And also Austin, and let's see who else, Pflugerville and Houston and Round Rock and San Antonio and Georgetown, Cedar Park, Buda, San Marcos, Bastrop, Waco, the Woodlands, and Dallas, because some of my Dallas nannies are coming too. We are going to have a weekend of fun in Austin, September the 21st and the 22nd. Be sure you're there. We're going to do Painting with a Twist on Saturday from noon to 2 o'clock. Be there by 11:30. Please be sure you RSVP going. I haven't put the event up. I'm still selecting the photo, the picture that we're going to be painting. We're going to do Painting with a Twist. It is a $15 charge. You will save $20 on this painting adventure. So please sign up for that. And on the 22nd, we are going to have a dress up. Well, I shouldn't say ball gown dress up, but on the 22nd at the Black Walnut, I don't know why I said Black Forest, Black Walnut Cafe. It's in the Austin Commons, I do believe. No, Painting with a Twist. Yeah, it's in the Austin Commons. Yeah, looking at my notes. It's in Austin Commons. We're going to have it at 3 o'clock. And we are going to invite our spouses and significant others to come and celebrate with us. We will be celebrating National Nanny Recognition Week. So you all come and join us. Now, let me see if our special guest has arrived. And there he is. We're going to add him to invite him to come on camera. If you're watching, please hit the share button so your friends and your all your nanny friends and your nanny sisters put it in your nanny groups. So please make sure that you share so everyone can participate. And I need your participation tonight as we talk about safety and talk about Oh no, the connection fell. Hold on, let me try again. Please share this with your nanny group so we can get everybody on the same page. We want every. Let's see. Um, it says adding. There he is. Hi, how are
Oh,
you? Can you hear
can you
me?
hear me? I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is it echo?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so.
It,
I
I
don't
think
hear
it
one.
took my, it disconnected my Bluetooth.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to see if
Yeah.
there's an echo, but I don't hear one.
Okay. We should be
Okay.
good then.
I'm just trying to tune in and listen. Okay. So, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Okay. So, can you introduce yourself to us and tell us what you do?
Okay. My name is Keenan Kelly. I am the owner of K2 Defense. What I do is do a variety of training in preparedness, self-defense, things like that. I do teach license to carry classes, beginner firearms classes, and then just overall safety and active shooter training as well.
Okay. Okay. So, I invited you to come and speak with us because um, many of y'all know that I go to one community church, and Keenan is the one of the men on the Men of Valor, which is our security team,
Mhm.
amongst other things. And Saturday we had a training, and I was thinking, wow, what if this happened to one of the nannies? What if we were in a situation and we didn't know what to do? We didn't have a plan in place. So that prompted me to get on this right away, because with everything that's going on now, we need to have emergency plans in place.
Yep.
Now, my first question for you is, um, why do we need a designated place to meet, and do we need to practice this?
Yes. So when it comes to a designated spot to meet in, it's always important. Says it pause. Am I here? Okay. It's always important to remember that um, when there's an emergency situation going on, you may not be able to use your cell phone. So having that pre-planned spot, you already know where you're supposed to meet, you know how long you're supposed to stay, and then everybody knows, so you don't have to get on the phone and figure out, okay, where is such and such? Where is the parents to the child? Where is whoever you're supposed to be traveling with? You all have a common plan in place. And then once you meet at that designated spot, you go from there with whatever your laid out plan is.
Okay, okay. Now, do we need to practice this, going to that spot, find different ways to get to that spot just in case?
Yep. Yep. When it comes to routes, you want to know, you want to have more than one route to get to that location. And it doesn't have to be anything random. It could be it could be something as simple as the home of the parents, right? So, you know, if you're out and about with the child and the designated spot is the home, then you just know that no matter what's going on, you need to get home first or to their home first, and then the plan deviate from there, right? So having multiple routes to take, if you have common or consistent spots that you take the child to, having multiple routes from that location to the home and maybe mapping them out. It's also good to practice that it's an emergency situation. So say we live in Texas. So say one of the major highways, 75 or 35 or something like that is locked down. How can you get to Allen without taking a major highway? So just plans like that.
Okay. Well, I'm the queen of back roads. My husband always tells me, "You always take the back roads." I said, "Because I
Back
drive
roads and side
children,
streets.
and
Yep.
when I drive with children, it's easier for me to pull off the road in the Walmart
Mhm.
and change a pamper, or I figure out what's going on while they're crying, than it is to be sitting in the parking lot known as uh, one of these Dallas Parkway or the 121, the San
Hmm.
Rayburn Tollway, it's easier for me to just pull off into a parking lot of a grocery store or something to check on a child than to be sitting in the middle of a highway and there's
Yep.
cars on both sides and I can't get to that child. And getting out of the
Yep.
car is the most dangerous thing you can do in the middle of a
Mhm.
highway. So,
And one
but
of the
yeah.
things that people, they don't think about. I was actually in college when Hurricane Katrina came through the South Dallas area. So I went to college in Houston, and they evacuated Houston. To see a city the size of Houston evacuating is crazy to say the least. People were running out of gas, they were running out of food, trying to get to Oklahoma just to get out of the storm's path. So um, we're not talking end of the world scenarios here. We're not talking, grid down scenarios. We're talking something as simple as a natural disaster coming through and that whatever location you're in is being evacuated. Those happen all the time. That's something that you should plan for. That's something you should practice for, definitely.
Yes, because Houston flooded not too long ago. Had a hurricane, not what was it, a year or two ago? Maybe
Yep.
less than 2 years ago. They evacuated Houston again.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's definitely a good to have a plan in place. I know I was. I don't know if many of you all remember. You probably do. When the what was the shooter in D.C. What is his name, John Malvo or some, what, I think that's what his name was. Anyway, I was out walking with a 3 month old when the shooter, when the first shots happened. I was out walking. And then when the second and third, and the mom called me on the cell phone, she said, "Where are you? Get home now. There's a shooter." And I'm like, "Oh my God." So I did not have a jogging stroller, but that day it turned into a jogging stroller because that she said, "Well, he's close to our neighborhood." And I'm like, "Oh my God." And it was so, I mean, I could just remember it so vividly because knowing that even after those first shots, how many people he hit and targeted after that, it
Hmm.
was very scary. So scary. And um, in light of the mass shootings that have been going on at Walmarts, I'm glad to see the Walmart at my over here by my house has a police officer outside and inside. Um, but if we're out and about and there's something going on, not necessarily a shooting, but there's something emergency going on, what should we do? How do we react to you know? Okay, there's somebody over there, and we need, what do we look for to say, okay, I think we may need to go inside, or I think we may need to leave, or I think
Hmm.
we need to change directions. What do we need to look for as far as behaviors are concerned? And I don't want to scare anybody, but this is a serious thing.
Yep. Definitely, it's actually common sense. If you take the technology that we've been engulfed with out of the equation, then a lot of us will be a lot more alert. It's because we're in our phones, we're talking on our phones, we're on Facebook, we're texting, whatever the case may be. That's what takes your situational awareness down, which is the word for it, and you lose touch with what's going on around you. So the biggest thing is just to pay attention, keep your head up. I know you guys have little kids that you're dealing with when you're out and about, but just to keep a natural pattern um, to your surroundings. So you're playing with the child, you're focused on the child, but then every few minutes you hold your head up, look around, make sure that there's nothing going on, nothing suspicious, nothing to be aware of. A lot of the times in these mass shooting situations, for example, these guys are coming up in full tactical gear, all black. If you go back to um, the school shootings, they're in trench coats or, big heavy jackets or something like that in the middle of summer. So the things, they always look out of place. So if you just continue about your normal day, you don't have to do anything special, but just be observant and aware of the people around you and how they're acting. Are they fidgety? Are they sweating? Of course, some people naturally sweat, but those are just things to pick up on.
My
It's better
husband
to be
does, so
cautious.
don't look at him.
Yeah, yeah. It's better to be cautious than to just throw it by the wayside. A lot of people, especially a lot of mothers, they have that mother's intuition when they know when something's wrong. Without even really knowing what's going on. So listen to that. If you feel uncomfortable in a situation, get you and the child out of the situation. No matter if it really is an emergency situation or if it's just you had a misunderstanding. But it's always better to err on the side of caution.
Yes. Okay, so when what are some safety tools that we can use when we are going to interviews? I know most nannies, if we get the job, we have to go to the home.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we interview in the home. We don't even have the job yet, but we interview in the home. There
Mm-hmm.
was recently a story about a nanny who went on an interview and was raped by the father. And well, the kid's dad, not by her father, but raped by the kid's dad.
Mm-hmm.
Just going on an interview. What are some safety tips that we can put in place to keep us safe? I have some personally, and if you
Mm-hmm.
all have some, if you're listening and you're watching, and you have some personal safety tips, please place yours. Type them in so we can all share, so we can all be aware, because we don't all live in the same place. We don't all live in the same regions, and in different regions, the laws are different. Everything is different. The housing is different. I know in Arkansas, most houses don't have basements. So in New York and in Washington D.C., places up north, they have basements. So it's totally different in different regions. So please share your safety tips that you use personally, while we listen to what Keenan has to tell us about some other safety tips that we can use.
So I think the most basic tips, pretty much they apply to everybody, whether it's a in-home interview process or you know um, going on your first date. You wouldn't go to somebody's house on your first date that you don't know them, right? So I know not everybody has that ability to choose the place of the interview, but if you do happen to have that ability to choose the place of the interview, then choose a public place, Starbucks. Choose a play date with a child at the park, something open in public where you're not alone in somebody's house in a strange environment. That would be tip number one. Tip number two would be to let somebody know where you are. So if your interview is at 1 o'clock, 1 hour interview, then maybe you tell that person, hey, I'm going to call you at 1:30. So you give yourself a little leeway time. If they haven't heard from you in that set amount of time, then they know to give you a call. And if you don't answer, then something's up, right?
Right,
So
right.
letting people know where you are. The other thing is to not give too much of your personal information right up front. So I know that's kind of hard to do. You got a resume and everything, so you got to put all that stuff in there. But have a conversation with the families beforehand instead of just sending out your information blindly to whatever comes up. So having a phone call, making sure that you're comfortable with those people first, and then giving up that identifying information.
Okay. Okay. Now I agree with you, because I always send the address to where I'm going to my husband.
Mhm.
And of course he was an Army Ranger, and he always tells me, if I don't hear from you, I'm like, okay, 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 okay.
Exactly.
You know my
Yep.
husband.
And that's common practice, right? So if you are in an interview and the interview goes long, just ask to be excused. Let them know that you got somebody that is checking up on you, and you just want to let them know that it's okay. And sorry, my thing keeps blinking off. But if they have a problem with that, then that should raise some concern, because everybody should understand that safety is important. And you coming into their home not knowing them, they should allow you that grace to say, okay, they need to make whoever knows that they're here, aware that they're still okay. But that's only if it goes over. The other option is to use an app, right? So I don't know about iPhone's app, native app, but on Android and Google Maps, you can open your location so people can see where you
I think I know Apple has a Find My Phone app, but
are.
I'm
Hmm.
not sure who can find your phone.
Yeah,
So I guess you would have to allow someone to be able to find your phone. But I know they have
yeah,
this
you have to
this
open it
app.
up. Hmm.
I know they have this app where you can like with kids, and you can find where they are, what their location
Hmm.
is by
Yeah.
tracing their phone. So you could probably put that on your phone so that everybody know. Okay, so if I am moved from one place to another place, I told you I was going here, but if I move, if I am kidnapped or whatever the case may be, and I move to
Yeah,
another
exactly.
location and my phone is with me, you'll know
Hmm.
this is where um, I'm supposed to be. And
Yeah, something's
also,
up. Yeah. Hmm.
I take a picture of the house because sometimes GPS can be wrong.
Gonna be wrong. Yep, that's true.
I know my address is Louisville, but it comes up on the GPS as the colony.
Hmm.
So when people are looking for me, they go straight to the colony. I can't find your house. I said, because you're in the wrong city. I
Yep.
am in Louisville.
That happens.
So that happens. So I take a picture of the house and you get somewhere. That's not the house she sent me. That's not where she is. Hold on, let's
Hmm.
go back to the cities because our zip code, the area where I live in Louisville, it shares the same zip code with the colony, which is why it
Hmm.
gets confused. So it's possible to go to the wrong place. So
Yep.
now the only place that I send that picture to is to my husband. So that I say, start here. If you don't hear from
Hmm.
me in 20 minutes, start here. If you don't hear from me and I tell you I'm here and I call him, I don't, sometimes I text him, but most of the time I call him when I leave the interview. So he knows, he hears my voice
Exactly.
and knows I'm okay.
Exactly. Yep. Taking a picture, that's actually a good idea. There's actually a few different apps out there that allow you to do that tracking thing. Another point to make is to text them the name and the address of the people and then the cross streets that you came on. So whatever the street that the actual house on, the street that the house is on, and then the cross street that it matches with. And that's how most first responders navigate to where they're going for a call. So having that cross street information can be helpful as well.
That's, I didn't think about that one, but cross street is good because yeah, yeah, okay, that's a good one. Okay, I have to add that to my repertoire. Yes, yes. Now, if what was my other question? I had another question. Uh, okay, I think we answered. Oh, there were some acronyms that we learned on Saturday.
Hmm.
When we did the live shooter thing, there were
Yeah.
some
Hmm.
acronyms that you taught us about. Can you explain those to us and how they work? And did you hear me? I saw you flash. I didn't know if you were still with me.
You're breaking up there.
Okay, I said
Okay, you're back.
the acronyms
Uh
that
huh.
we learned on Saturday, that you
Yeah.
taught us how to,
For the active shooter. Uh huh.
yeah. Can you explain
Yeah. So
those?
that. Uh huh. Those are run, hide, and fight. Department of Homeland Security does training on this. FBI, most of your police departments will do training on this as well. Maybe not as in depth as it should be, but they will give you that run, hide, fight, right? What it means is, in the case of an active shooter situation, you would run. You would find the nearest exit that you can, get out any way that you can. What most people don't realize, or I should say, when they've talked to other people in active shooter situations. Sorry, my phone is doing something crazy.
People are probably trying to text you.
All right, so in some of the active shooter situations, there were windows involved, and people would ask, why you didn't break the window, and they felt that it was wrong of them to break the window in order to get away. So breaking those normal cultural cues that we have of things that you wouldn't do, like break windows or bust down doors or whatever it is, you throw all that to the side. You get out any way you can. If there's a way out, you get out. The next one is hide. So if you can't run, you hide. Hide is hiding in plain sight. Sorry, the dog is running by me. Hiding is, if you're hiding under a chair, if you're under a desk, in a closet, whatever you can do to hide is the would be the next step if you can't run away. If you are in a room, make sure you cut the lights off, lock the doors if the doors have locks. We went through active shooter training this past weekend, and I was surprised that they didn't lock the door, and the door had a lock on it. So
They got us
if it
killed.
has a
We're talking about the training that we did this past weekend.
yeah,
That's why I said they got us killed, because we couldn't say anything. We've already been through the training.
uh-huh. So lock the doors, cut the lights off. After that, if you're in a room, make barricades on the door. So you would stack up furniture next to the door so that the perpetrator can't get in, or at least make it harder for him to enter the room. When you come into a room straight away, your cone of visibility is unobstructed, right? You walk into a room and you can scan from end to end usually, unless there's big furniture in there. So you want to make it harder for him to scan the room, to assess the situation, to see who's in there. The other part of that is that furniture allows you to hide behind it and surprise attack the perpetrator as he's coming in, right? So you catch him by surprise. He's coming in to hurt you. You catch him by surprise from a side vantage point, and you hit him with whatever tools that you have available in the room. You tackle him to the ground. You grab the gun and try to remove it from him. Whatever you can do to survive in that situation for you to bring it all out. Bring out that mama bear, bring out that aggression.
Hello.
You're mad at your significant other. You just hold that all in and wait for that emergency situation and just let it all out at once.
And let them have it with both barrels.
Exactly. So that kind of segues into the fight part. So you're barricading the room and stuff like that, so you can catch him by surprise. So that in the off chance that he does enter that room, or that person does enter that room, you can fight for your life. Fighting is no holds barred. There are no rules. You use what you have. You use a stapler. You use scissors. You use a chair. You use whatever you have available to you in that room or that closet or wherever you are, to protect your life and the life of those that you're responsible for. So, yep, that's run, hide, fight. The
Okay.
other important thing to remember is that it's not a step one, step two, step three. So, when you're going through those situations, you need to reassess as it's playing out. So, you may not have been able to run before, so you hid, but then opportunity arises where you can run. So you don't stay hidden waiting for somebody to find you. If you have the opportunity to run, you change your
Run.
strategy and you get to run.
Run,
So
Forrest, run.
it's a cycle. Um, you have to continue to reassess as the event is playing out.
Okay. Now, um, I posted my advertisement for tonight in on LinkedIn, on my LinkedIn page, and one of the
Mhm.
nannies reminded me that we need a plan in place in case we get hurt at work. If something happens to us at work, who's going to take care of the kids? Who's because I do believe she broke both of her ankles and had two kids under the age of 3.
Mhm.
So we need a plan in place for that to happen. I got hurt at work, and
So she was
I
at home.
hmm,
She was at home and got hurt.
she was at her nanny family's house and
Uh
got
huh.
hurt, and the parents were like hours away. So it was like the grandmother finally came over. Luckily, she had some friends visiting, some
Hmm.
nanny friends that came to visit, and they were there and helped take care of the kids until grandma got there. And then one of her friends drove her to the hospital. But I can't imagine sitting there for 45 minutes to an hour and and in pain, broken ankles, both of them. And I'm like, really? So she couldn't walk. She couldn't, gather them around. At least I had one functional side. My right side was working. My left side, I had a pinched nerve in my neck, and all of my arm just felt numb. So I couldn't move my left arm. I had no feeling, and I don't know how you go. It's numb and it's in pain at the same time, but it's just
Hmm.
like it was just this shooting pain, but I couldn't feel anything except for the pain inside. I could touch stuff and I couldn't feel it. So my
Hmm.
nerve was like this. And for 3 days I was locked up like this, and I was crying and crying, and I had a 2-year old. So it can happen. Have a plan in place. Luckily, I called my husband because he always comes to my rescue. And he came and he helped me sit with the kids until the parents got there. And but it was scary because I got a 2-year old and I only have one arm. I'm in pain. I'm in tears, and he's looking at me like, "What's wrong with you?" And he's getting fretful because, well, what's wrong? You're supposed to have it all together. Why are you crying? Are you having a temper tantrum? That's what he asked me. Are you having a temper tantrum? Because I always ask him that. But it's good to have a plan in place. Also, one other tip that I put out there for your kids, um, it's good to have that police identikid, the pictures that they take, the kids and the fingerprints and all of that, and get, the photo of the kids. That's good to have. But when you have babies, they change so quickly. And you can have this 5-month-old picture and your baby's now 10 months old and he doesn't look the same.
Yeah.
So I suggest that you take a picture of your child before you leave home, because if you're out in public and something happens and you can't find that child, or whatever happens, you have a picture, a current picture of what the child actually has on, not this 5-month-old picture of what he had that he can't wear anymore, but you have a
Hmm.
picture of what he had on today, what he looks like today, what if he had a big bump or bruise from trying to walk and crawl and bumped into the couch, or fell over because he's trying to, testing out the waters, they'll be able to recognize him because it's an identifying mark.
Hmm.
And that's my tip of the day. So, oh, Nanny Kim says I also have their tiger print. Okay, what is a tiger print? I'm not sure what a tiger print is. Do you know what a tiger print is? Oh,
I'm
fingerprint.
assuming
Never
a
mind.
fingerprint.
She said
Yeah.
fingerprint. Okay. I was like, what is a
Yeah.
tiger print? Okay. Thank you, Kim. But are there any more safety tips that you have for us as far as keeping our kids safe while we're out at the park and out and about?
Mhm. I think one of the important ones that people forget about is if the child is old enough to train them. I don't know what's going on with my phone. To train them and
It,
what to do.
trust me, it's technical difficulties on Ask the Nanny almost every Monday night. So you got
Uh,
the technical difficult part this time.
yep. So training the child if they're old enough on what to do in particular situations. If they get lost, and separated from you, have a point of reference. So if you're going to the fair is coming up here in a month or whatever here in Texas. So
Mhm.
if we get separated, meet me at this spot. That's a just like the meetup spot for the parents. The other thing is to train them in emergency situations, whether it be fire, tornado, whatever the case may be. What do you do? Do they know what the exits are? Things of that nature. Keep it age appropriate, but most kids that can walk and talk can at least assist you in saving them in the
It's
process.
true.
Having a plan in place, and not just a plan of what you're going to do, but the contacts for the parents. Does the kid have any allergies or medications that they take? The age, height, and weight of the kid. Um, if you want to get down to the granular level, you can have their um, primary care physician and dentist and all that kind of stuff. Uh,
We pretty much have all that because most of us
yeah,
are the ones who take them to the dentist and the doctor and all that.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Fingerprints, that's not one that I've come across a lot, but that's I can see where that could be beneficial for some items. So if you can get their fingerprint, take a fingerprint. When it comes to those identification cards, you don't have to go to a police station to get those. You can just take a picture with your phone and print it out on a sheet of paper and then write all their height, weight, and all that stuff on the back of it. You can put it on the business card. If you want to put like their allergies and contact information for the parents, having in case of emergency. So if you can't get in contact with the parents, like you were talking about earlier, about getting hurt and needing to call somebody, having it in case of emergencies on the parent side and then on your side as well. So you should have a spouse or another nanny friend that you could call if you get hurt at work. And also, on the parent side, they should have it in case of emergency. So if they're out of town or whatever, somebody else that can come and take over in their stead. So just thinking through all that information, answering all those questions up front, and keeping that documentation handy. The smaller you can make it to keep in your purse or in a diaper bag, the better. And then you're always prepared. And like you said, making sure you update that information as they grow and they get older. Um, Especially if you're going to any big events like the fair or going to something like the movies or something like that, where there's a lot more people around, then take that opportunity to take a quick snapshot um, with all their information, what they have on their height and all that stuff. So you have it for that specific day.
Right. Now, there's another thing that I want to show you all with your phone, and most of you all have this. Oh, there's my pretty picture. Okay, so here at the bottom, it says emergency. If you tap that,
Mm-hmm.
and you can make an emergency call. It's on my other
Mm-hmm.
phone, but I have it. Um, if the emergency, the EMT, if something happens to you in the EMT, they can get your phone, and if you have your information updated in there, your name, your birthday, what you're allergic to, what medicines you are taking, and everything, but they hit that emergency, all your medical history comes up, so they do not give you um, medicine that you're
Medication that
allergic
might be
to.
dangerous.
They know
Yeah.
your blood type. I am a rare blood type, so if I need a blood transfusion, they need to know. Do not give me O positive because
Mm-hmm.
O positive is like the carrier. All
Universal.
everybody can have.
Yeah.
No, not me. It will kill me. So I need them to know I'm O positive. I need them to know, don't give me penicillin. I'm allergic. Don't give
Mm-hmm.
me morphine or codeine. I'm allergic to all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I need you to know, don't kill me, please. I know you're trying to help me, but don't kill me, please. So,
The other thing you can do is you can change your lock screen to another picture or document or whatever, and you can put your in case of emergency, call this person. So when they look at your phone, yeah, they can get to the emergency information, but they also know who to call if you don't have that feature.
yeah, it's in there too. All of that information
Mhm.
is in there. It has your in case of emergency, it has 3 different people that you can contact. in case of
Hmm.
emergency. And make sure you keep their numbers current, because one time I didn't. My husband changed phone numbers, and thank goodness I didn't have an emergency, but I went and looked. I accidentally hit the button. I was like, wait a minute. That was 2 numbers ago. Let me change this information. So keep your information up to date and in your phone, because everybody, just about any nanny that is out there, I know we carry our phones because we have 50 million pictures of our nanny kids on there.
Hmm.
And just take the time to update the emergency information. And, what you don't want to do is put information on the side of the child's car seat, because EMT will not pay attention to that. They are trained not to pay, because it could be the wrong child.
Yeah.
But, and you also, I know there's these cute little stickers that says my child is autistic. Um, and if your child's, they might, and I say might, pay attention to that,
Yeah.
because some autistic children do not respond. They will not respond, especially if you put them in an intimidating situation, and something that they feel like they just kind of just do their thing. I know one child, when she got scared, she would just rock and rock. She wouldn't say anything. Now, any other time, she's talking, 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 talking. But you could tell when something was going on emotionally with her, or something had scared her, because she would stop everything. All of a sudden, it would become quiet, and she would just rock. So be sure you have information. I have in my glove compartment, I have um, emergency paperwork that I get from my family to that gives me permission to get my children medical care until they can get there. Now, I don't have permission to give permission to have surgery or anything, but life saving, if it's going to save their life, give them CPR and all that other stuff,
Yeah.
beyond, if I fall out, pass out trying to give them CPR, they have permission. I have permission to take them to the doctor. I have permission to say, okay, get started on whatever you need to fix whatever's getting done, until the parents get there, or the parents call and say, yes, you have my permission to do this. So
Hmm.
that's a good idea to have in your possession, in the parents' car. If you drive in the parents' car, have it in the parents' car. I have a copy in the parents' car and a copy in my car, because sometimes they ride in my car. So I have permission to get them to the doctor in case of emergency. I had a child who had an allergic reaction on me, and mom said, "Oh, he's fine. He'll be fine." Uh-huh. And then we get out there, and he's not so fine, and little red dots start coming on him, and he starts breathing funny. And I was like, "See ya." And we hauled off to the hospital, the quickest emergency room we can get to. So make sure you have that information in place. That's a good thing to have in place, because you never know what's going to happen. You can be out in the park and somebody's dog gets loose and starts, I've seen that happen before too. So be aware, and make sure you have just the smallest things in place, so that when the emergency happens, you won't have to get frantic, and all you have to do is react to it. And it's a
Exactly.
natural reaction, and not a, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Because you
Mhm.
know what, a lot of women, and I hate to say it, because we do, a lot of women, we get frantic and we panic first and then think second. And it's like somebody come and smacks you on the face, and you're like, okay, okay, I got it together now. React first. If you got
There's
everything
some
in
men out there
place,
that'll do
just
that too.
react to it. Are you laughing at me?
No, I said there's some men out there that would do that too.
This is true. This is true too.
Men are not immune to freaking out in the emergency situation. I think what it boils down to is, have you practiced? Have you not? Even if you haven't practiced, if you've thought through scenarios, then you're more likely to respond with the way you've thought it out, or the way that you've practiced it, and it won't be as a surprise to you. So that's the biggest takeaway. The more you practice, the more second nature it'll be. So when things like that do happen, your body will take over, and you'll be in that flight or fight response. And since you've already practiced it and thought through it, your body will take over and do those things for you without you having to process and think about it at that point.
Yes. One last thing. Let me check my time. Okay. One last thing. Um, as a home daycare provider, we had to make sure that we did tornado um, drills, and we had to do
Mm-hmm.
fire drills, and we had to do a fire drill every time a new child came into our um, into our home daycare. But we had to do one monthly. And if we had just done that one, the first day that that new child comes, we have to do one then too. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have never done a fire drill with your child, they need to hear the actual alarm to hear what it
Yeah.
sounds like. Even if you have a battery operated smoke detector, that's what I use. I will pull it out of the drawer, stick the battery in, and hit the button so that they can hear the actual sound, because most babies and children, when they hear that sound, they panic and it
Yeah.
scares them, and they
Mm-hmm.
refuse to do anything you tell them to do. They are just falling out on the floor crying. I know because it happened to me the first time I had a fire drill. I had 6 2-year-olds,
Yeah.
and all of them fell out because what is that noise? If you practice and get them to a designated place, and if you practice that this is the noise, this is what you will hear, and you know when you hear this noise, this is what we're going to do, and
Mm-hmm.
they will pay attention to you, and they will know this is what I'm supposed to do when I hear this noise. If I
Yep.
hear, they hear a siren, they're looking around to, oh, where's the fire truck? Where's the fire truck? They're all excited. Well, when they hear that smoke detector go off, they need to know we need to go stand by the door. We need to, hold hands. We're going,
Mm-hmm.
Nanny Angie is going to take us, out the house. They need to have a plan in place. And like you said before, kids will respond if you teach them. When I got my home daycare, my 5-year-old, my then 5-year-old, I had a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
I, a light covering fell and cut my left eye. And I'm standing here like this, and I'm trying to gather them, and and my 5-year-old jumps off the top bunk and runs and grabs the phone and dials 911. I had just taught them that the day before. Now I get the phone. I'm looking around for the phone. I can't find my phone because this
Mm-hmm.
was back in the day when they had cordless phones. I couldn't find my phone. I was like, "Where is my phone?" He had it. He's talking to the operator. My mama hurt herself, and I'm thinking, "Give me the phone." And I said, and
Yep.
I get on the phone. I said, "I'm sorry, but you all need to hang up because I need to call 911." She said, "Ma'am, this is 911." And I'm thinking, "Well, who called you?" She said, "I think it was your child." So if you teach them, they will react. They
They
will
will.
they will do what they're supposed to do. And it totally shocked me because I just talked to them about 911 and showed them on the phone how to dial 911 just the day before.
Mm-hmm.
So him dialing 911 and explaining my mama hurt herself. She's holding her eye. And she said, because the woman asked me, what's wrong with your eye? And I'm like, how she know it's my eye? My child. So teach them, teach them, teach them. Do a drill with them. It's not to scare them,
Yes.
it's to make them safe. Don't be
Yep.
afraid to be an advocate for safety. And don't be afraid to, talk to your parents about the safety rules. If you come up with a plan yourself and you teach the child, make sure you tell the parents so the parents will know, okay, this is what we do. This is how we do it. This is where we meet.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to
Yeah,
them.
the parents
Uh,
definitely have to be on board.
Yes, it's important for the parents to be on board because most of the time we're careful, and we try to make sure that the eyes are off, and they're not playing with stuff. But sometimes parents get busy, and things happen. Things happen to nannies. It just happens, and you're dealing with one kid, and the other kid's supposed to be asleep. And guess what? They're not asleep. They're up there messing with something that, they're not supposed to be messing with, and an accident happens. So
Mhm.
have poison control on lockdown. I have it on my phone. I got
Good
push.
first aid kits too.
Beg your pardon?
Said good first aid kits too, and being
Yes.
trained in it, and not just the whatever. What is it? Once every 2 years, where you go do the training and take the test, but actually practicing yourself, so that you don't freak out when you got to go to administer CPR to somebody, and you're like, what do I do? You already know what to do. You just need to practice it. Make
Right.
it come natural.
Yes. Most of us have had CPR training numerous times. But
Hmm.
when it actually comes time to do it, like you said, practice, because so you won't practice instead of panic.
Yep.
So yes. And but anyway, any last words? Any last words of wisdom?
Um, I'd say safety and security is everybody's responsibility. I know a lot of people think that it's up to the police and the fire department and the EMTs to come save them. But the fact of the matter is, it takes minutes for something to happen, and it takes minutes for help to get there. So you need to be able to take responsibility for your own safety and the safety of those kids that you're responsible for protecting. And just small things like having plans in place for natural emergencies, having first aid kits on you, going the extra mile and getting some sort of trauma training so you can learn how to stop major bleeding and stuff like that. Um, just being phone cut out again. Just being prepared. That's the overall theme. Is you're not waiting for something to happen, but you're prepared if something does happen. And
Emergency readiness.
yep,
Be ready.
be ready.
Be ready. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and giving us some tips and explaining some things to us, how we can take care of ourselves and take care of our kids. And nannies, if you're listening, nannies, NCSs, doulas, whoever you may be, if you have tips that you want to share, please do so, because we all, like I said, we all live in different regions, and in different regions, different areas, different things happen. Because I used to live in Alaska. The things that happen in Alaska don't happen down here in Texas. So whatever region you're in, or whatever region you have lived in, if you have some good tips and some good advice, please share them with us, because
Mhm.
we want to be ready for anything. Because we not only, most of us not only stay in that house with those children, but we travel with families too. So if we're traveling to a place where you may be and you give us a tip, don't go here, don't do that, watch out for this, watch out for that, make sure you do this, make sure you do that in this area, this particular city. We need all of that information so that we can be aware, and you know it won't catch us by surprise, because we don't have a plan in place in somewhere other than where we're familiar with. But if
Mhm.
you can help us and you can tell us what to be on the lookout for, what to, if you are prone to earthquakes in your area, and we
Yep.
don't know that, oh, it's not just a big truck running down the road, it's actually an earthquake. We don't know to get out the way. We don't know to, run for safety. We just standing there like, oh, where's the big truck? Where is it coming? And we're standing and we're in danger. We don't know this. So
Yep.
please share all of your tips, all of your advice for whatever region you live in, and help us all stay safe with our babies. Stay not only our nanny kids, but our own children. Because I know many of us are mothers, and I'm a grandmother, so I want to be safe with my grandkids too. So thank you all for sharing, and thank you, Keenan, for joining us and for providing us with information. I know some of this was kind of a serious matter and is kind of sensitive,
Mhm.
but we still need to know these things, because this is the type of world that we're living in now. And if things are going to go to the left, We need to know how to go right.
Yep.
I'm just saying. So I want all of us to stay safe and all of us to be happy and healthy and have just normal nanny problems. That's enough. That's enough. So we will see you all next week, and you all have a great week, and see you later.
All right. Thanks.